Please like, share and subscribe. Title: Fleshbound Love. In the heart of a secluded town, where whispers of ancient curses and sinister secrets echo through the narrow streets, lies the backdrop for a tale of terror and twisted love. A young woman named Lily, with a gentle heart and an unyielding spirit, finds herself plagued by nightmares that seem all too real. Each night, she is tormented by visions of blood-soaked streets and shadowy figures lurking in the darkness, leaving her shaken and afraid to close her eyes. And then there is Jack, a mysterious stranger who arrives in town under the cover of darkness, his presence heralding a series of gruesome killings that rock the town to its core. With his piercing gaze and enigmatic demeanor, he exudes an aura of danger and intrigue that draws Lily in despite her better judgment. As the town grapples with fear and uncertainty, Lily's path crosses with Jack's in a chance encounter that sets the stage for their twisted romance. Despite the warning signs that flash like neon lights in Lily's mind, she finds herself inexplicably drawn to Jack, unable to resist the magnetic pull of his presence. Little does Lily know, Jack harbors a dark secret, a secret that threatens to tear them apart and plunge them both into a nightmare from which there may be no escape. As their paths intertwine and the lines between love and horror blur, Lily and Jack are thrust into a world of darkness and despair, where the only thing more terrifying than the monsters prowling in the shadows is the darkness within their hearts. As the moon hangs heavy in the night sky, casting its pale light over the deserted streets of the town, Jack's transformation begins. His once handsome features contorted and twisted, his skin taking on a sickly pallor as veins pulsed with an unnatural hunger. His eyes, once filled with mystery and allure, now gleam with an insatiable thirst for blood. With each passing moment, Jack's cravings grow more vigorous, consuming him from within like a ravenous beast. Visions of death and destruction consume his thoughts, his mind filled with the intoxicating scent of fresh blood, and the sound of screams echoing in the night. As he stalks the streets in search of his next victim, Jack's senses are heightened to a razor-sharp edge. Every sound is amplified, every scent intoxicating, as he stalks his prey with the precision of a seasoned predator. And then he sees her, a lone figure walking through the darkness, oblivious to the danger that lurks in the shadows. Lily's heart pounds in her chest as she senses the danger that surrounds her, but it is too late. Jack is upon her in an instant, his hands closing around her throat with a grip like iron. As the life drains from Lily's eyes, Jack's cravings are momentarily sated, his hunger appeased by the taste of her blood on his lips. But it is only a temporary reprieve, as the darkness within him roars to life once more, demanding to be fed. Jack released Lily, and Lily coughed heavily as she tried to catch her breath. Driven by an insatiable lust for death and destruction, Jack continues his rampage through the town, leaving a trail of massacre in his wake. Each victim is torn apart with a savagery that defies comprehension, their screams echoing through the night like a symphony of terror. Despite the horrors that lurk beneath his facade, Lily finds herself inexplicably drawn to Jack, her heart torn between fear and a twisted sense of affection. His dark allure calls to her like a siren's song, his presence casting a spell over her that she cannot break. In Jack's presence, Lily feels a strange mixture of attraction and repulsion, her mind clouded by conflicting emotions. She knows that he is dangerous, that his very existence poses a threat to everything she holds dear, and yet she cannot bring herself to turn away. Their interactions are fraught with tension and danger, each moment spent in Jack's company a dance on the precipice of madness. Lily is drawn to him like a moth to a flame, unable to resist the irresistible pull of his presence despite the warning bells ringing in her mind. But as their twisted romance blossoms amidst the chaos and carnage surrounding them, Lily begins to see glimpses of the man Jack once was, a man haunted by demons of his own making, tormented by the darkness that consumes him from within. One fateful night, as the moon hangs low in the sky, radiating eerie shadows across the deserted streets of the village, Lily stumbles upon a scene that will haunt her nightmares for eternity. Drawn by a sense of foreboding, she follows a trail of blood and gore that leads her to the outskirts of the village, where Jack stands amidst a tableau of horror. Her heart lurches in her chest as she beholds the sight before her. Jack, his face twisted in a rictus of ecstasy, crouched over the mutilated corpse of a villager, his hands drenched in blood and gore. Lily's stomach churns at the sight, bile rising in her throat as she struggles to comprehend the depravity unfolding before her eyes. With a sickening squelch, Jack tears into the flesh of his victim, ripping chunks of flesh and viscera from the still warm body with a savagery that defies comprehension. Blood drips from his chin, mingling with the crimson pool that surrounds him, as he feasts upon the remains of his prey with a hunger that knows no bounds. Lily recoils in horror, her mind unable to process the grotesque scene unfolding before her. The stench of death hangs heavy in the air, mingling with the coppery tang of blood and the sickly sweet aroma of decay as Jack's frenzied feeding reaches its climax. With a final, guttural roar, Jack devours the last remnants of his victim, his eyes ablaze with an unholy fervor as he revels in the taste of flesh and blood. As he rises from his gruesome feast, his lips stained crimson with the blood of the innocent, Lily knows that she can never unsee the horrors she has witnessed. In that moment, she realizes the true extent of Jack's depravity, that he is not merely a man but a monster driven by an insatiable hunger for human flesh. As the realization sinks in, a cold dread settles over Lily's heart, for she knows she can never escape the darkness surrounding her. And yet, despite the horrors that threaten to tear them apart, Lily cannot deny the connection that binds her to Jack. There is a vulnerability in his eyes, a pain that mirrors her own, and she finds herself drawn to him in ways she cannot explain. As they navigate the treacherous waters of their forbidden love, Lily and Jack are forced to confront the truth of their doomed romance. For theirs is a love born from darkness that defies reason and logic yet burns with a fierce intensity that cannot be extinguished. As the shadows deepen and the night stretches on, Lily and Jack cling to each other in the darkness, their love a beacon of light in a world consumed by chaos and despair. But little do they know, their twisted affection will lead them down a path from which there may be no return. The gruesome sight of Jack's cannibalistic feast etches itself into Lily's mind like a festering wound, poisoning her thoughts and shattering her fragile sense of reality. Her dreams are plagued by visions of blood-soaked streets and twisted figures looming in the darkness, each night more terrifying than the last. Haunted by the horrors she has witnessed, Lily finds herself shaking on the brink of madness, her grip on sanity slipping with each passing moment. She struggles to reconcile the man she once knew with the monster that now stands before her, his very presence a constant reminder of the darkness that lurks within. And yet, despite the horror of Jack's true nature, Lily cannot bring herself to turn away. There is a twisted bond that binds them together, forged in the crucible of their forbidden love and sealed with the blood of the innocent. Try as she might, she cannot escape the pull of his dark allure, the magnetic force that draws her ever closer to the edge of oblivion. As the town descends further into chaos and despair, Lily and Jack find themselves trapped in a nightmarish spiral of violence and madness. The streets run red with blood, the air thick with the screams of the dying and the scent of death. With each passing day, Lily feels herself slipping further into the abyss, her mind consumed by visions of death and decay. She can no longer distinguish between reality and nightmare, her thoughts clouded by a fog of fear and despair. And yet, amidst the chaos and despair, there is a flicker of hope, a glimmer of light in the darkness threatening to consume them both. Even as they stand on the brink of madness, Lily and Jack cling to each other in the darkness, their love a beacon of light in a world of darkness. But little do they know, their descent into madness is only just beginning, and the horrors that await them are beyond anything they could ever imagine. As the darkness tightens its grip on the town, Jack's descent into madness reaches its horrifying climax. Consumed by a primal hunger that knows no bounds, he turns his insatiable appetite towards the one he claims to love, the unwitting victim of his twisted desires, Lily. In a frantic frenzy, Jack pounces upon Lily, his hands tearing at her flesh with a savage brutality that defies comprehension. Lily's screams echo through the night, a symphony of terror that is brushed aside as Jack's monstrous appetite drives him to unspeakable acts of violence. With a sickening squelch, Jack rips open Lily's abdomen, her screams merging with the sound of tearing flesh as her guts spill out onto the blood-soaked ground. Horror washes over Lily as she watches in disbelief, her mind unable to comprehend the grotesque scene unfolding before her eyes. As her lifeblood spills out onto the ground, Lily's survival instinct kicks in, and she begins to crawl away from her attacker, her bloody intestines trailing behind her like a grotesque tail. Every movement sends waves of agony coursing through her body, but still, she presses on, driven by a desperate need to escape the nightmare that has become her reality. But Jack is relentless, his hunger for flesh insatiable as he closes in on his prey. With each agonizing inch, Lily's hope fades, replaced by a bone-deep despair threatening to consume her soul. And then, just as all seems lost, Lily's hand brushes against something cold and metallic, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. With a last surge of strength, she reaches out and grasps the weapon, turning to face her attacker with a steely resolve born of desperation and fear. In a final, bloody showdown, Lily and Jack face off against each other in a battle for survival, their fates intertwined in a dance of death and despair. As the night stretches on and the town falls silent once more, only the echoes of Lily's screams remain, a chilling reminder of the horrors that prowl in the shadows, waiting to claim their next victim. As the moon reaches its zenith, casting a pall of darkness over the village, Lily's transformation into a creature of the night is complete. Her once gentle features contorted and twisted, her eyes now empty sockets filled with an insatiable hunger that rivaled even Jack's. With a guttural growl, Lily lunges at Jack, her teeth sinking into his flesh with a sickening crunch. Jack's screams mingle with Lily's guttural moans as they tear into each other with a ferocity born of desperation and despair. Blood and gore splatter the ground as they feast upon each other's flesh, their frenzied feeding a grotesque dance of death and destruction. The disgusting odor of decay hangs heavy in the air, mingling with the coppery tang of blood and the sickly sweet aroma of rot. With each bite, Lily and Jack feel the curse that has plagued the village for generations begin to unravel, its dark hold weakening with every drop of blood spilled. Their gruesome feast is a macabre ritual, a final act of defiance against the darkness that threatens to consume them both. As they devour each other with greedy abandon, a sense of peace washes over them, their souls finally free from the torment that has plagued them for so long. In their twisted union, they find redemption, their love transcending even death itself. As the first light of dawn breaks over the horizon, Lily and Jack lie entwined in each other's arms, their bodies battered and broken but their spirits unbroken. In their final moments, they have broken the curse that has plagued the village for generations, their sacrifice ensuring that the darkness will never again take hold as they die together in each other's arms.